So let's go ahead and add a little bit of JavaScript to our gradebook application. Now, just like with CSS, JavaScript is more of a front-end centric topic, but we're going to cover sort of the basics, some of the ideas and concepts to integrate some JavaScript into our gradebook application. And so one of the things that we're going to be working with is we're going to be adding an AMD compatible JavaScript library to our application, and we're going to be adding a tooltip helper to display within our application. So this is all going to be done in JavaScript. So let's take a look and see how this is done. So we're going to still be here in our gradebook web, and what we're going to do is we're going to browse to our source main resources, meta-inf resources, and then we're going to right click that resources folder, heading over to new, and then we're going to be creating a new file. All right, this file is going to be called config.js. So config.js. Okay, similarly, you can put this in its own folder. You can call this a different name if you want. But what we need to do once we create our JavaScript file is we're going to head down to our bnd.bnd file. Right, we haven't been there in a while. So heading down to the bnd.bnd file, we're going to let our application know, or we're going to be including this JavaScript within our portlet module or OSGI bundle. So down here in the bnd.bnd, let's click on the source tab. And once we're here inside of the source tab, I'm going to be typing this header here, Liferay JS uppercase dash config capital C. And we're going to be pointing to the config file that we have just created. So again, source main resources in this situation is going to be our root level. So this is going to be over in the meta-inf folder. From meta-inf, we're going to be in resources and then pointing to that config.js file that we just created. Okay, so very good. So let's confirm here that everything is good. Looks good here on my end. All right, and this is not a standard bnd.bnd tag, right? So we're not going to see it here in the autocomplete. So next up, we're going to be defining our tooltip, or tippy as it's called, over here in the config.js. Right, so over here in config.js, we're going to be adding our JavaScript module. So Liferay loader add module. Okay, bump that down. Right, and then curly bracket here. Right, we can group this together, semicolon here at the end. Right, so declaring our dependencies. Okay, exports, right, tippy. And the name of it is going to be the same thing. Right, and then specifying the path of where we can get this module. Right, so https://unpkg.com/tippy.js at 2.5.2/dist/tippy.all.min.js. So declaring or defining where we're going to be getting our JavaScript library, our tooltip here. So we have that all squared away. Next up, we're going to be adding this tooltip over in the view submissions.jsp. So let's head over to the submissions folder, and then down here in the view submissions.jsp. So the one with the S at the end. So be careful there. So view submissions.jsp. Once we're here, we're looking for the comment that says placeholder for tooltip or for help tooltip here on my line number 60. All right, so now that we are here, we're going to go ahead and add our tooltip. Okay, I'm going to close the tag before I forget. Okay, tab over. I'm going to reference our class here. And we're going to call it gradebook-tip. Okay, making it a quote-unquote reference or link here. All right, it's going to be a JavaScript. All right, and something that's not going to be clickable. All right, so we're going to hover our mouse cursor over the tooltip, and then it's going to give us some help text. All right, to get that help text, right, we're going to be using Alloy UI to help us out. Title equals quote. Okay, and then close the tag there before I forget. Liferay UI to help us out. Message key. Okay, and then the key is going to be submissions-help-text. Right, and then remember this is going to get picked up over in our language.properties file. All right, so backspacing the message there so it's part of the Liferay UI message. Okay, and then just making sure everything is closed here. I need to close the A tag there. There we go. And then just saving along the way, just in case. Okay, we're going to display another message here. This is going to be with the actual tooltip itself. We're going to show a message of help. That way people know to navigate over here for their help, for their tooltip. Key equals help. Okay, we'll close that. And then to give the actual icon itself, we're going to be using Clay to help us out. So symbol, right, just making sure I spell this right, symbol, right, equals, and we're going to be, it's going to be a question circle, circle, not cycle, circle, there we go. And then closing the tag there. Okay, and then we'll close the A tag here. Okay, let me make sure I have everything here lined up. See, since we're closing the A tag down below, let me make sure all of my other tags are lined up. Let's see, so title here. Closes the Liferay UI message, and then I need to close. There we go. Okay, so check your syntax just in case. Right, it's very easy to miss things along the way, so be careful. All right, so we've defined our tooltip over in config.js. We've added the logic needed over here in the view submissions.jsp to have the icon for the tooltip. Now, next thing we need to do is add the functionality so that when we move our mouse cursor over the tooltip, it'll display the message or a message. And so we're going to be doing this over in another file called main.js. And so we're going to be creating the main.js file in its own folder, and we're going to call that folder JS. So over here in the source main resources, meta and resources folder, we're going to right click that resources folder, head over to new, followed by folder, and we're going to be creating the JavaScript folder, or just JS for short. Once you have that typed out, go ahead and click finish. And then we're going to be creating that new file in that JS folder called main.js. So right click the JS folder, head over to new, followed by file, and we're going to call this file main.js. With that taken care of, go ahead and click finish. Here in our main.js, we're going to be defining the functionality for when we hover our mouse cursor over the tooltip. Okay, so we're going to use Alloy UI to kind of help us out here. Okay, all right, then just so we don't forget, right, that's too far. I'm going to define the function here. Okay. All right, so defining the function, Liferay loader require, single quote here, tippy, the tool tip. All right, and then I need to close that. Got that all mixed up there. And then function tippy. All right, bump that down. All right, tippy. Single quote, gradebook, .gradebook dash tip, calling that what we defined over here. Right, comma. Okay. And then hide on click is false. Remember to add our semicolons down the line, and then make sure to save the file. All right, so what's going on here? So as we're loading up our viewSubmission.jsp file, right, we're going to be invoking this AUI ready once the HTML finally loads up. Right, this is going to be calling that tippy module that we defined over in our config.js down here. Okay, and so all of that is fine and dandy, but right now our module project, the Gradebook Web, doesn't actually know about the main.js. And so just like with the CSS, what we need to do is define the main.js over here. So we're going to head back down to our gradebook portlet.java, right, and we're going to add one more property within the property element of our component annotation. Right, so the property is a Liferay one, so it's always going to start off with com Liferay portlet. Okay, from here, this is going to be footer dash portlet dash JavaScript. So its value is going to be the path over to the JavaScript folder. Okay, so this is going to be /js /main.js. Right, once you have that, make sure you add a comma at the end of the property to remove that error, and then go ahead and save. I'm going to head back over to my Liferay instance. We'll refresh the page, getting me to sign back in. All right, so I'll sign in, test.liferay.com, password of test. And we're going to navigate into one of our assignments. I'll navigate into assignment 888. Right, and then as we scroll down, there is the help. I take my mouse cursor and hover over it, right, invoking that JavaScript method to display the tooltip or to display the text like so. So very good. Again, more of a front-end developer emphasis, but again, seeing how we are able to add our own JavaScript into our gradebook application.